It takes me, it takes you to put together all the things that we know. And when we share that with our children, together we grow.
Cleaning up in classrooms seems to be a very stressful time. And I have seen a wide range of classrooms where the cleanup goes smoothly, and in other classrooms, it's a hot mess. So I had this request come in, and I wanted to answer it in a form of a video. So I had done a podcast on letting children play, and this director writes in saying, I'm fully on board with the adults not controlling the play. But what I struggle with sometimes is in my self contained classroom. And if I let my students bring materials it makes, wherever they want to take it, it makes cleanup so much harder on the adults. My students aren't able to clean up more than 1 to 3 times each without a meltdown. I don't want my staff to spend 30 minutes cleaning up and we don't have the time. Labeling things in bins help, but it's not enough. I don't want to put out less stuff either. So cleaning hasn't been very successful. Hi, my name is Prerna Richards, and I am a behavior coach, and I would love to take on the cleaning challenges that we face in our early childhood classrooms, starting from the infant room, toddler room, preschool, pre-K. So let's dive into it. I'm going to share 7 practical strategies that have actually helped transform some of these classrooms where it becomes very stressful. So one of the first ones I would say is using the language. Start getting into the habit from an early age, even with the infants and toddlers. Yes, 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 yes. Even with the toddlers, you can start asking this question. Are you done playing with this? Are you finished? Would you like to put it away before you go on to the next thing? So introduce the language of first and then. First, let's pick this up, and then you can go to the next game, next toy, right? So first and then language can be introduced from an early age. And yes, I have seen teachers in infants and toddlers classroom introducing the language. And by the time children are walking, crawling, they're able to identify that what you're saying helps them to know if they're finished. Of course, as they get older, they can definitely make a decision. So that's the first one. Start introducing the language of first and then. So they become comfortable with this, and that becomes the way they show up in your program. Remember, children are capable and intelligent, and they will follow your lead if you think they're capable of doing something. If you don't think they're capable, they'll prove you that they can do it. Of course, having clearly labeled containers with pictures. This is strategy number 2. Having containers with labels and pictures is very helpful. But what I have seen in classroom is that teachers end up doing all of the cleaning, and the children are not aware that this box even exists, this container even exists. So if you have it set up, you need to start the school year, or you need to start where you are right now by recognizing that this needs to become a matching game. So you have to also change your mindset about cleaning. Cleaning is not busy work. Cleaning is learning time. Cleaning is an opportunity to become aware of our environment. It is an opportunity to teach them matching games, and it's a skill, right? So where do things belong? Matching, that's the game. And it's hand-eye coordination happening as well, if you think about it. So strategy number 3, including the children in the helper in the cleaning up is so critical. It's so critical because quite often I see teachers just whizzing through and cleaning up, and if the children don't help you clean up, then they kind of just go to this alternate universe that I'm not even aware that there's cleaning up involved. They hear the cleanup song, some of them will do it, and some of them are floating. The ones that are floating, you must have teachers who actually literally go up to each one in the beginning and just say, can you help me find, where does this blue thing go? Can you help me put this away? Come, let's go find it. You have to actually engage with them, because what happens is when we don't engage children in actually doing a task, the message we're sending them is that I don't have to do this. When you say clean up and the cleanup song comes on, everybody else is going to do it, but I don't have to do it because nobody ever calls it out, right? So following up and going with individual children who you know are going to struggle. Those are the ones that you need more time with. And then giving them something very specific, and then even holding their hands and saying, come show me where it goes and help me figure this out. So involving them as part of the process, because that's where the learning happens, right? It becomes a connection time. As they get older, I would say by the time they're 3.5, 4, and beyond, if cleanup time is becoming a mess, if cleanup time is just dragging on, if cleanup time is not happening, if children are playing, I would call a classroom meeting. Classroom meeting is powerful because classroom meeting puts the problem back to the children and saying, we have a problem in our classroom. We are not taking care of our things. What do we think we should do? The language moves from put away my toys and my books. If the teachers are saying my, then the children are like, fine, it's you do it. Why am I going to do it, right? So coming from a perspective of this is our classroom, this is our school family, we need to take care of our materials. And I'm noticing that the blocks are a hot mess, like they're everywhere. What do you think we need to do? What are your suggestions? How can we put this back? And then taking the time in, whether it's putting pictures on the blocks, the shelf, so that there's always one left there. Teach your children, don't take all the blocks out, leave one sample there so that when it's time to clean up, we know where to put it back. Giving them some guidelines like this will help, because then they start taking ownership in it. They are very capable and very intelligent, and they can do it, right? And so I would also use the strategy of being playful and puppets, making sure that children do it through play. I had a teacher the other day who had somebody crawling in the classroom as a cat, as a kitty cat. She was all over the place, and the teacher kept saying, it's time to clean up, it's time to clean up, and she wasn't listening. And so the teacher got really creative, and she's like, here, kitty cat, we have some kitty toys to put away. Is there a kitty cat in the room who can put the kitty toys away? And immediately the little girl came, she started putting the toys away. Then we had puppies in the classroom. Like, the teacher was totally leaning into it with play. She was totally leaning into it with imagination. Having class puppets is magical, and you can get the puppets to say the message. But, the biggest thing I would say is your follow through. This is so critical. I think this is strategy number 6 now. This is so critical that we follow through what we say. Children should know that our words mean something. If you just say clean up and nobody comes to clean up, or just a few come to clean up, and you don't follow through with them, the message you're sending is you don't need to listen to me. Then we shouldn't be surprised if they're not following through, right? So if you are saying something, this is one of the things that I've seen happening again and again in classrooms. Teachers don't follow through. There's no consequence, right? You say clean up, and then you end up doing all the cleanup, and a few kids help you, but the kids who are floating, there's no consequence. I would say go to them and say, did you hear me? What did you hear me say? Have them repeat it back to you. What did you hear me say? Okay, then let me see you doing it, right? You don't have to become mean, but you do have to follow through. There do have to be consequences. There can also be, this is strategy number 7 now, there can also be yes zones and no zones. So yes zones means, yes, you're free to take the toys from here to there. You are free to mix the toys. But when it comes time to clean up, I do want you to put them back. Are you prepared to do that? And I would have conversations with them before. I would even play a game of thumbs up, thumbs down. So before I release them for center time, I would say, do we dump our toys? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Can we take our toys and throw them on people? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Like, go through the expectations, go through what you're comfortable with, and then follow through when they do that, right? So in terms of yes zone and no zones, no zone means you can't dump all the paint on the ground. Like, that's not an option. You're not going to have that. So certain things are off limits. Certain things, yes, you're allowed to do that. So if you're comfortable with letting them mix the dramatic toys with the block toys, this is a big thing. Every time I give a talk, somebody in the room is always like, oh no, not the mixing of the toys. That's so stressful. You have to know your comfort level and then allow them a little freedom to use it. And as they can show you that they're capable of it, then you can expand it. So you might start off with small, limited materials, and as they can show you they're capable of taking care of them, you can expand it. But I think it goes back to really having clear expectations and following through and making cleanup as part of the learning day and not as a thing, as a busy work. So, very quickly to recap, if you've got all those strategies, the first one is language, first and then. The second one is clear labels containers with pictures, because when they're little, they need to know where to put it. The third one is involving the children to actually help you, and teachers going physically and telling children. Fourth one is having classroom meetings. Fifth one is starting with clear expectations before you release them with limited materials, using the strategy of play and imagination with it, having yes and no zones. And biggest one, I can't stress this enough, follow through, and consistency is key. If you do it one day and don't do it the next day, the message you're sending children is not that important, and I don't have to listen to you. So sometimes I think as teachers, we sabotage our own classrooms because we are not following through. And I think the children just pick up on that, thinking this is not that important to you. And so I don't have to listen. All the best. I know cleanup is stressful, and I know that play is so important for children to experience. So all the best. You can do this. And you can advocate for the children to advocate for the materials and for themselves. All the best. You got this. Thanks for listening, and share and subscribe and pass it on to others who it might help. I hope this was helpful. Let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Thanks.